Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network. 'Cause you make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven. A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
Hello, and welcome to Limit Free Life Radio. We are here today at the beautiful Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California. This is UBN Radio, UBNradio.com, and we're here every Wednesday at 1 o'clock. The show that we are doing today, we have two fabulous guests with us, and I'm so excited to have them here. I'm going to introduce them in just a second. I'm Michelle Perkins. I'm your host of Limit Free Life, and Limit Free Life is primarily a show to help showcase people who are, in fact, creating limit-free lives. And to me, that means lives that are fulfilling, fun, and financially prosperous. So we are going to talk about those things today with two lovely ladies who have just written a book together. I'm going to introduce Katerina Cozias. She is an on-air radio host and TV host here in Los Angeles, and an author of Mental Slavery, along with Danielle Martin, who is here zooming in with us from Portugal. Thank you so much, Danielle. That's really exciting for us. Danielle is a coveted motivational speaker and also the author of Mental Slavery. So welcome, Katerina and Danielle, and thank you so much for being here. So I think I want to start with Katerina and just talk to you a little about, we talk a lot here about transitions. And so I know that you have made some big transitions in your life and help others to make transitions. And I'd love to hear a little about your story.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us, first of all. Danielle and I decided to write this book. We titled it Rising Up from Mental Slavery because what we noticed was a lot of people were not living their best life. They weren't living a limitless life because they were being held back by their own limiting beliefs. Mm-hmm. And so part of what we touch on is how do you overcome a lot of the limiting beliefs in order to unleash your infinite potential. For me and for Danielle, we both are testaments to our own work because we have taken these tools into personal practice and moved forward. So my story, in a nutshell, is I had wanted to be a Hollywood television host from when I was 15 years old, but decided instead to go the traditional safe route and got into corporate America as an investment banker, corporate finance. And 20 years went by, and a little voice in my head said to me, you know, life is good, but it could be a lot better. Mm-hmm. You should be aligned to what you are really wanting and hoping for. And at that point, I had to make a choice and decide, do I want the next 20 years to continue in a way that was sort of average, sort of mediocre, kind of unfulfilling, or did I want to take a chance on myself and really live into a limitless life?
Right.
And I made the decision to shake things up, implode my own life, move out to Hollywood, take a chance on self, and it has blown up for me exponentially in the right direction.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
That's a great story, and I'm hoping that there are listeners out there who feel that same way that you had been feeling, because I know I had felt that too. And so, you know, you really value the process of transitioning, I think, when you've been in that place and had to take that leap and for you to be seeing the results of that, you know.
Well, and for me, it was career. For Danielle, it was literally taking a change not only in career but in geographical location. She'll share a bit of her story, but she made the move from Brazil to Portugal, which is let's go to a different part of the world and start all over again.
Right. Okay, well, Danielle, can we hear your story? And before you say anything, I want to just say I didn't do justice to the title. I said mental slavery. Rising Up from Mental Slavery is a much more enticing title, and that's really what we're going to be talking about here. So, Danielle, go ahead and give us a little bit of your background.
First of all, let me thank you so much for this invitation. It's a real pleasure to be here with you. And about my story is, I think that a lot of people can relate to my own story because, as Katarina mentioned, I was born in Brazil, and I decided that at certain point of my life, I wanted something more. I was tired of just working, pay the bills. I wanted to have my own place. I wanted to rule my own life, and I talked to my husband, we need to pivot something. you know we need to make something really strange here to change, and we decided to move to Portugal. And things really went well. We find the job the very next day, before we before no sorry after we have arrived. And but I was still in looking for fulfillment. And then I started to study the mind, and then I put myself at my being my subject, test subject, to see if the things that I was learning would really make something different in my life. And everything started to fall into place. The pieces started to fall into place, and now life is beautiful.
Yeah, wonderful. I love that both of you are saying that you took a leap and things have been falling into place. And I know it's never a straight line. I mean, there's definitely ups and downs and difficulties along the way. But to hear that, because you don't know at that point where you're deciding, should I make a transition or not, how it's going to go, and all the fears come up. And when you do it, it's always really important, I think, for people to hear that things can fall into place. And so.
Part of what we talk about in the book, and part of why we wanted to share it, was because we really have lived into some of these principles. And it all comes back down to the fact and a reminder to the audience that we do have 100% control over our own thoughts.
Right.
The key first, and we talk about this in one of the early chapters, is awareness.
Yep.
You need to be aware of your own self-dialogue, because too often we're sabotaging ourselves with, I can't, I'm too old. I work with some clients, I'm a media strategist, and some of my clients are saying to me, I'm too young. I'm 25, no one's going to take me seriously. Right. These are all limiting beliefs, because Zuckerberg was also 25, I feel that, I hear the same thing on the flip side of, I'm too old, I'm 55, I'm 60, I can't change now. Well, imagine that you have a comfortable 30 to 40 to 50 years ahead of you. So if you're saying that to yourself at 55, you're doing yourself a massive disservice. And that's part of what we talk about.
Right. Yeah, so true. And I loved when I started to read the book, just the focus on your thoughts. And for me, that's so much the world that I live in that I almost feel at this point like, doesn't everybody know this? This isn't anything new. But the reality is that it's still really important information. Not everybody knows it, and it's really important. And putting it into practice is a little difficult. So what do you talk about in the book in terms of getting to that place where you do have some control over your thoughts?
Sure. You know what? I'm going to defer this one to Danielle, because she has some good tips. So Danielle, in terms of like an exercise we can give to one of the listeners to help them overcome limiting beliefs, what do we have?
First of all, you have to make sure what are the results you really want to change in your life, because everything starts at a point that you are not satisfied with something. Okay, it can be your financial life, your financial results, your financial relationship results. You really have to have a clear image of what am I getting as results, and do I really want to change that? Because while you don't make a decision, you won't make any change. It really has to be really important for you to make that change. And then you have to identify, based on the results you are getting, what can be the possible limiting beliefs that are making you to get that result. For example, in my case, I can talk about my main problem in life was insecurity, and I got really tired of not being respected by people. But at that time, I was not knowing that I was causing that, So I got really tired of being not being respected, and I decided I want to change that. And I started to review my memories and remember when that time people used to say to me that you are not enough, you are not intelligent enough, you won't make this because you have no conditions to do that. And I started to replace with the opposite idea. Why? Because when I start to study the subjects of the mind cannot work with two true statements as opposite. Like, if you have one saying that you are not enough, you must have the other side of the coin saying that you are enough, and you must decide each one you are going to work with as true, because your mind cannot have both as true, So I decided to work with the other side of the coin and put it into practice. And I started to see that people started to treat me different because my voice was according to the new person I wanted to be. I am confident, and my voice, my tone started to follow this affirmation. And my body posture was accordingly, I started by a point that I had to like a policeman in my head. I take care of your posture, take care of your voice, But at a certain point, I started to see that people would treat me the way I wanted them to treat, and I started to feel confident for real, because I started to experiment it, and I was getting the results that I wanted. And so, first place, identify the results you would like to change, identify the limiting beliefs that you might hold about it, and choose to work on the opposite statement and put it into practice. Because while you don't put it into practice, you won't get new results.
Yes. And exactly to play off of what Danielle said, you have to decide what version of yourself do you want to be. Right. And really, we have the opportunity, as she was saying, to identify what that is and literally say, in 12 months from now, if I were that confident person, how would I be acting? And bring that into the now. So the next time you walk into a room, you walk in, whether you believe it or not at the beginning, you act as though you replace the limiting belief with the new belief. And after some time, your subconscious starts to recognize that that's your new blueprint. That is your new paradigm. Right. That's when the change happens. But it comes down to awareness of thought. Yeah.
Right.
Excellent.
And don't you think in general people think the opposite? Like things will happen and then you'll feel like you want to feel. But really you have to flip it.
Well, and I know, Michelle, you do a lot of work with money mindset. And, people that are millionaires were living into a millionaire mindset before they were millionaires. You see, the mistake most people make is they say, when I'm a millionaire, I'll be confident, I'll own a room, I'll be able to do what I want to do. But really, you need to act and embody and feel like that millionaire first.
Right. Yeah, and I'm intrigued by the name because mental slavery is, that's powerful. That really evokes, imagery of really being not limit free. So I'm curious how where that comes from and why that is an important title.
Well, I think going back to what Danielle had talked about a little bit earlier, we are all run the risk of being prisoners of our own minds. And most of us, especially people watching this show, are living in, the Western world, so we're not physically enslaved, but we can be walking around mentally enslaved. And so for us, it was really important to get a title that really would remind people that it is very serious.
Right.
This mental slavery that many times we're voluntarily allowing ourselves to be in.
Right.
The thing is that it's not so easy to change.
Right.
And I know with me and my example, because I had spent so many years in corporate finance, and for anyone that's lived corporate America, right, you work hard, you put in your hours, you put in your time, and then you start to see the benefits. But to eject out of that, where you've built up the credibility, the integrity, the corner office, whatever you've built into your pension plan, to eject from that, I literally had to spend 2 years giving myself mental permission that it might be okay to move out of this safety zone. So it doesn't happen overnight. It is a process, but this is what you follow. Because what we've done is we've tried to take our own examples and shortcut and give you a roadmap that if you follow some of the exercises and the practices that Danielle and I have studied in length, we really feel will be a catalyst for change.
Right, and I think that's really important too, because people need the help. I mean, this is conceptually something you can grasp, but when you go and try to actually make these changes in your life and run up against, all the stuff that you run up against in your own head, particularly, it's good to have this kind of a guide. I think it's not that easy to just do without support or help or a blueprint.
Right, and that's the beauty of Danielle and I collaborating, because I'm in North America, she's in Europe. We're both available. We're extending our hands. We both work with clients privately and really help work on mindset and ways that you can also use your environment in a collaborative way. So Danielle and I were part of a mastermind group where we come together and as a group and we discuss our goals, our aspirations, our wins, our challenges. And out of this mastermind group, she and I decided to collaborate on this book. One of the chapters in the book talks about the importance of masterminds and really just being able to leverage the skill set of other people who may, again, be in a position to help you move that much more easily.
Right. And another great point is, it is so important not to try to do everything alone. So, and I think we grow up a lot with that feeling maybe of insecurity if we feel like we need people to help us. But we do need people to help us.
Right.
And
and you know this from the coaching work that you do as well, that it really, I'm going to share a quick story here for anyone that knows Oprah Winfrey. Okay, I don't need to introduce Oprah. I'm pretty sure everyone knows Oprah. But another real key motivational speaker and real powerhouse woman is a lady named Lisa Nichols. Yeah. Most of you that follow this genre know Lisa. When Lisa Nichols came out with one of her first books, she was a guest on Oprah. And Oprah asked her on the air, on the Oprah Winfrey Show, Lisa, how many coaches do you have? And Lisa responded with, I have 2 coaches. And Lisa Nichols, I was watching a podcast that she was doing afterwards, said at the commercial break, she asked Oprah, so Oprah, how many coaches do you have? Oprah says, I have 4. So Lisa said, I got off the show, I got into the parking lot, I'm about to get in my car, and she says, I literally stopped. I called up 2 more coaches, and I said, if Oprah has 4, I'm going to get 4. So the point is, we can't do it alone. Yeah. Reach out to people that have the ability to really see where your blind spots are and help lead you to your best self.
Yes, absolutely. And I've had 4 at points in my life. I may even have 4 now. I don't know. The other day I was thinking I probably have more coaching than anything else in my life right now. But and the masterminding too is wonderful. And part of my morning ritual is to get up and read a little bit too from something inspiring that will set the course for my day, help me to set intentions. And so, I'm always looking for books like this that can give me the inspiration I need first thing in the morning so that the day progresses in the way you want it to progress.
Oh, absolutely.
As opposed to that other way.
I'd love to touch on, just in terms of morning routines, because one of the chapters that is in the book, and Danielle is excellent at this, is visioning. So I'd love for her to touch on the importance of visioning and vision boarding and all of that, just to play off of what you just said.
Yeah, because when you get an image of the things that you really want, you are imprinting them in your subconscious mind. And normally your subconscious mind will always adjust your actions, for you, in order that you can get that image that you really want. It's not want with your rational mind, it's you want with your emotional mind. And it will always lead you to do the things that will help you to get that dream you really want. And for me, for example, I have a whole wall in my living room with all the photos. I just pick them up in the internet, I print, and I place them in my wall in my living room. And every time I pass here, I stop a little bit and look at the photos. I place photos of people, of places, of things that I want to have or do, and I start some minutes, or if I am running, just a few seconds, but I always have a look at them and feel them. I bring them to like embodying them. And this is fantastic because a lot of things that I envisioned in the past came past to my reality, and I didn't even know at that time that I was doing the visioning exercises. For example, that story in the book that I share, that I was a little girl and I wanted to, I loved the name Richard. I thought that it was the most beautiful male name in the world. And I always thought, I'm going to marry with a Richard. And then years later, I met my husband with it. His name is Ricardo. It's the Portuguese version
of Richard, right? Like, how excellent.
Yeah, somehow my subconscious mind led me to him. Something in me recognized that name.
You know what? I'm going to change my name, Danielle, to Billionaire. I'm just going to start referring to myself as Billionaire because that's a great example. But it's true. It's so true. And it's what Danielle said, the power of the subconscious mind and really embodying the emotion. And if there's factual science behind this. Greg Braden is someone that is excellent to listen to. Obviously, Einstein had touched on this. Tesla, there's a quantum physics scientific reality to a lot of this.
Right.
And now modern science is starting to catch up to the woo-woo, if you will.
Yeah, they really are. And it isn't so woo-woo anymore. It was when I started into coaching. That was the term for all of this. But not the case anymore. And honestly, for the skeptics out there about vision boarding and visioning, there are just too many examples that I even know personally where, there's been a vision and the person has stepped into a very specific vision of what they wanted that was almost seemingly impossible. So, it's an amazing process, and sometimes I think you run into some resistance with it. So you don't, there can be some trouble to envision really the life that you want. So,
well, and a lot of that too comes, when you peel that onion back and you peel the layers. A lot of times, what I find when I work with clients is the reason they're having a tough time envisioning is because they're having issues with self-worth. And so they have self-worth is underlying that, self-esteem. So they think, who am I to have, the life that I dream of,
right,
whether it's yachts or jets or, that white picket fence. So what we need to do first is get to the root of why are you feeling perhaps the unworthiness, perhaps the discomfort, perhaps the uncertainty, build up that space, and then layer on top the practical ways to get really what you want. Yeah.
Right. So I know, and I always ask guests to do this, but to talk about some of the challenges along the way, because I think people need to hear that there have been challenges. It's not a straight line. It's not that easy. It's worth it, and you can do it. But can you both maybe give us a specific challenge that you've run into that might have felt heavy and hard during the period that you were in it?
There's an interesting example. So part of what I talked about, I had gone into corporate finance for many years, and my childhood dream was always to be a TV host, to come to Hollywood. Of course, I'm from small town Canada, so who am I to go to Hollywood? I had to get over all of that. When I got here, I started auditioning. And my big dream at the time was to be a cross between Barbara Walters meets Katie Couric, but brunette, right? So this was my dream. And I show up here in Hollywood, and, you start knocking on doors, going on auditions, trying to look for agents. And it's a tough town, right? Everyone wants to be in Hollywood. And I had gone up for a hosting job with the NFL to host at Super Bowl.
Okay.
And that was a huge opportunity. So it went from 400 people down to 60 people, down to 12 people. They were going to pick 8 to be part of the NFL experience at Super Bowl. This is a couple of years ago. Long story short, I got through the 3 rounds and ultimately was one of the 12. They were going to pick 8. They phoned me up about a week before and said, "We loved you. We thought you were great, but we're going to go with a different candidate." Now, the old Katerina would have, fallen apart, been really upset, been, disappointed, probably cried. What the heck am I doing out here? Nothing's going my way. But instead, I chose to believe that there was always goodness coming my way, right? Again, this is a choice. So I chose in that moment to say, this is okay. Maybe this isn't for me. I'm Canadian and I love hockey anyway, so maybe I'll give the NFL thing to someone else. Within 24 hours, I get a phone call from a different news outlet saying to me, "We have media credentials for the Oscars red carpet.
Wow.
Can you cover the Elton John party for us next week?" Now, those 2 events would have been the same time. I am much more a red carpet Oscars Academy Awards girl than I am NFL.
Wow.
My point is the universe delivered what it was supposed to deliver.
Yeah.
So we need to trust that our opportunities are coming and not allow ourselves to wallow in what seems like disappointment in the moment.
Yeah, brilliant point. And don't you feel like sometimes when you hit a low, you're on the cusp of something else? It's like you've got to push yourself to keep going because there is oftentimes something really great on the other side.
And here was me, and here was Sting, and here was me, and here was Elton John, and here was me, and here was Sharon Stone. I mean, it was fabulous, right?
Yeah, that's pretty fabulous. So Danielle, how about you?
It's similar, but for me, is the most challenge period was to, as Katerina said, to trust the moment, but to try to learn about the lessons that a difficult moment is trying to teach me, because this is something that I think that most people don't recognize, that some difficult moment in your life is bringing you some lesson about you, something that you still need to grow inside yourself, inside your mind. And this was the toughest thing for me to learn to trust in the process, but also learn what the process was trying to show me about myself. If it was something some ability that I had to develop to overcome that situation, this was really something that I had a really hard time to learn how to accept the situations, the difficult moments, not as something that went wrong in my life, but just a learning process.
And sometimes alcohol helps.
Yes, I will agree with that.
It's 1 o'clock somewhere. That's right.
Yeah, there's really not much question about that. That's good. So,
the thing that, Michelle, that I love about your show and I love about what you do with this is living a limitless life sounds like a fantasy.
Yes.
Right. Too many of us have society, I'm going to back that up. Society does a great job in implying that life is supposed to be hard. And that life is supposed to be a struggle, and that because it's a struggle, you better buy XYZ product. So the entire system is set up in a way that makes us feel inferior. What we need to remember is life is supposed to be easy and it's supposed to flow, and it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest catalysts for making money in life is doing something you love. Now, we've heard this 100,000 times, I know, but it's because you're vibing at a higher vibration. And we
Right.
talk about this in the book. A higher vibration, what it does is it's actually lighter energy. And because the energy is lighter, your energetic field is open to receiving more. When you're heavy, when you're depressed, when you're down, you're literally putting up like a thicker layer around you that is blocking the goodness
Right.
that you want. So again, we just need to remember that living a limitless life, part of it is identifying what makes you happy. And maybe you have 4 kids in private school, and you don't have the luxury like I did of just quitting my job one day. But you do have the opportunity to say, what makes me happy in my day? Is it drinking chamomile tea by the fireplace? Is it going for a walk to see the sunset? Is it spending an extra half an hour with my kids? Identify what might be easy for you to implement in the moment, and start implementing baby steps just to lighten your mood a little bit. It goes so far.
Yes, that's a beautiful point, because that expands the concept of living a limit-free life to everyone. I mean,
Absolutely.
and yeah, there's so much to say about that. I'm not even going to start because it's a hard thing to define limit-free. I mean, for some people, there are so many arguments against, how that can possibly be that, it becomes a very interesting conversation.
Well, and I think the mistake, and Danielle and I have talked about this before as well, the mistake people make is they assume that limitless means I have to be rich and successful. But success is such a it's such a subjective term, because success for me, right, might be looking in the mirror when I'm 95 at all of my grandchildren.
Right.
It may not necessarily mean that I was a millionaire, but I had a very successful, fulfilled life.
Right.
Yeah, Danielle, you had a comment?
No, I just think that success is something very personal.
Yes.
Everyone has its own definition of success, but the problem is society is always trying to tell you what success is.
Yes.
This is success for others, not to you.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. And to your point as well, listening to what the world tells you life should be, and listening to what even the most immediate people around you are telling you what it should be. The minute you let go of all of that and just, work on your own creation, I think is when you begin to be living a limit-free life.
Right. And I had a big event that I was at last week. I was in Dallas, and I was speaking at a conference, and part of what we were talking about was this the notion of public speaking. So whether that's public speaking or speaking on camera,
Right.
or even, as Danielle said, just having a little more confidence in yourself when you're going to the office. And what we came to was a realization that it's not so much a fear of public speaking that people have, which is different than a fear of spiders or a fear of the heights. I mean, at least with the other two, there's a physical, practical threat there, perhaps. Right. Fear of public speaking, not so much. What people are afraid of is public judgment. And this internet, Insta-story world that we're all living in is only amplifying that.
Yes.
And that makes it difficult because for a lot of us, myself included, right, I'm a recovering perfectionist. I was scared to make a move because what if I don't do it perfectly? Right. What are the neighbors going to think? What are my parents going to think? What is my spouse going to think? What are you going to think? Again, and we've heard this, it's so cliche, but this is not a dress rehearsal.
Yeah, that is really, really true, and really good to just start putting some things out there. If they work, fantastic. If they don't work, it's. I think that's the other thing that people really fear is, what if I try something and it doesn't work? Well, so it didn't
You're
work.
still in the best position because you at least you tried.
Exactly.
And another thing that I love to work with people on is a reminder of this. So anyone looking to pivot a little bit later in life, and we find it difficult in our 40s or 50s especially to make a change because of the fact that we've spent so much time scaling our mountain. So I'm gonna show a visual here. So let's say there's 2 mountains, Mountain A on my left, Mountain B on my right. We spent 20 years scaling Mountain A, so we know how to do it. Let's say you're an executive in a bank. You started as a teller, then you got a manager position, you go up and up and up, and one day you find yourself at the top of this mountain, and it's great. but you're up there now and you're bored and you're looking around going, this can't be it. And so you see shiny Mountain B on the other side and you're looking over at that summit going, gee, the grass looks pretty green over there, right? But the reason a lot of people don't make the transition and jump across is because they look at that valley that exists between the two mountains and they think, oh my goodness, now I've got to go all the way down to the bottom and scale a whole other mountain. Like there's no way I have the energy for that. Do I have the capacity? What they're forgetting, and this is really important for people to recognize, once you've taken the time to scale a mountain, any mountain, jumping across to a different mountain, let's say you want to go from being a banker to opening up a construction company, and you think, well, I've never built homes. How the heck do I do that? You are jumping not down to the valley so that you scale Mountain B. You're jumping across at a place that's going to find you sort of at the 60 to 65% mark, because what you're doing is you're bringing with you all of those transferable skills, your communication skills, your interpersonal skills, your managerial skills, your leadership skills. So people assume that, oh my God, I have to start from zero. Yeah. No, you don't realize how close to that summit you are. And that's exciting.
That is very exciting. Yeah, that's a beautiful beautiful image. I love that.
I know it because I had
story.
to do it.
No, that's great. Yeah. I'd love to move over a little bit because every time we do this show, we try to talk a little about money mindset and your money beliefs and how those impact you. And so I know you address that in the book, and I'd love to hear some of the keys to maybe recognizing some of your money beliefs and shifting some of those, and any personal stories you have with that.
Sure.
Subject.
Danielle, do you want to go first?
Very quickly, first of all, of course, identify the conversations you used to have with your family when you were being raised, because a lot of limiting beliefs are acquired in the during the when you were infant. Okay. Like money is hard to make. You have to work a lot if you want to have more money, you know. And these limiting beliefs will play a major role in your life, okay? Because you will grow up with that image in your mind that your amount, the income has to come from only one source, for example, you know. And when you say people, why don't you invest, make some investment? For the average, investment is like the same thing as risk, and risk for them means to lose everything, so they never risk doing an investment, for example. And what I would like to say about that is to learn, first of all, identify your limiting beliefs about money, and then look for someone that can teach you this about earning money, not from only one source of income, not only from your paycheck, you know, because if you don't know how to deal with it, it's like a life in coaching program. You need to have some mentor to help you with this, to help you to overcome these limiting beliefs and to teach you other ways that you can make new income in your life.
Right.
And it does come down to your beliefs. As Danielle said, a lot of us grew up hearing, you know, money doesn't grow on trees and you've got to work really hard and rich people are crooks and whatever, you know, paradigms we have around money. So number one, again, talk about, you know, awareness of what your thoughts are, catching them, and then shifting to what Danielle had said at the beginning, which is identifying your new beliefs. So if you have an opportunity, why would you not choose to believe that money flows easily, right? Money flows easily into my world. And I get money from a lot of different sources. Too often we limit ourselves with, I have to make that $10,000 from my job. We don't realize that by putting that limitation, we're blocking off all of the other ways the universe may be wanting to bring us that money. Perhaps we have a grandmother that decides she's going to give us an extra $10,000. Perhaps we get an opportunity to invest in something new that's going to generate $10,000. Perhaps we win a lottery ticket. I mean, I'm not saying hold your breath for a lottery ticket, but let's open up and identify what you want. You want $10,000. start embodying the feeling of what it would feel like to have that. See it in your bank account, feel yourself spending it, feel the relaxation of having it in your world. And then let the how go, because the how is not up to us. The how is the universe. We get stressed out because we're trying to figure out the how. The how is not our job.
Right.
It's the what.
Right. And beautifully put. Gosh, there are those practical things that we need to do as well with money. And,
yes, okay.
And no, I love what you're saying, and I agree. And I always say, figure out what it is you want, and don't worry about the how with money or anything else, because the how will stop you dead in your tracks. I mean, if somebody wants to write a book but they don't know how, that how will stop them. But I also love what Danielle was saying about to learn about how to, either expand your revenue streams or invest your money. And that is information that's all over the place. I mean, the information on money beliefs and how to shift them, that's a little newer and a little less out there, but it is also important. Now, I think if you don't have the money beliefs in order and your relationship with money set up, you're probably not going to do that or make decisions that aren't necessarily the best ones in doing that. So I think you worry about the foundational money belief piece first, but then you also
first. But like you said, I mean, we're living in a day and age. Come on, everyone has a smartphone. Everyone lies on their couch and plays on Facebook for 2 hours a day, okay? So instead of 2 hours a day on Facebook, spend 1 hour on Facebook and 1 hour on YouTube and Google how to invest, or YouTube it, I guess. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. There is so much information at our fingertips that if you invest an hour a day, that's 365 hours after a year. Yeah. Do you know what an expert you can become in 365 hours worth of study on real estate, on the stock market, on interest rate financing? I mean, it really is up to us to take some steps practically to teach ourselves or train ourselves. Yeah.
Right. And I think, that idea that, money, I don't understand money. Money's something that I can't, I can't understand it, is absolutely one of those statements that you shouldn't be telling yourself, because there is really nothing very complicated or hard about it unless you get to certain things that you're not going to get into.
Right. And again, I mean, I'm just, I've got to rail at the system one more time here, but the system is not set up to teach us about money.
Right.
So we go to school from 0 to grade 12, 12th grade, whatever you want to call it, and we don't get taught practical money tools, how to do our taxes, or how to read the APR financing when I go to lease my car, or how to be in a relationship, or how to become a parent. But hey, I know what's inside a green leaf. Oh, but wait, I don't anymore because I forgot. It's like, what is the focus that's being put on this antiquated school system?
I'm hearing my kids
and
talking to me
true.
right now as you're saying this. Yeah.
And I know Danielle has a son, so I'm sure as a parent,
my son is 7.
Yeah.
And 2 nights ago, he brought some money toys from home, from the school. But there in the school, they are only teaching him how to sell or buy things. And here at home, my husband took a sheet of paper and told him, I'm going to teach you how to increase your money. And he gave him only a bill of 10 euros. And we placed houses from Lego and told, this house is for sale for only 3 euros. How much do you have in hand? He said 10. So you can afford? Yes, I can afford. But you know that this house worth 20 euros. Okay, what you're gonna do? I'm going to sell this house. And then he sold the house, got 20. How much do you have now? And he was very excited with the playing. And then we shifted. Now let's suppose you have only the 10 euros, and here on a store you have trousers, you have toys,
shoes,
and
whatever.
when he started to buy, the things and saw that the money was not increasing anymore but decreasing, he started to get upset. No, I want the other game.
That's an excellent exercise to
love
play
it.
at the age of 7, right?
It is.
In this consumer-driven society that's going to be telling him, you need these shoes, you need this jacket, you need this, I think that's excellent, Danielle.
Yeah, that's great. Well, tell us a couple other things in the book that we should know about as we go through life here.
Sure. So we talk about masterminding. We also talk about getting a mentor. A little bit different. So a mentor literally is somebody that you're going to identify who has been where you want to be. If this is a career mentor, who can you identify in your space that is living the life that you want, whether you know them or not? So a lot of times people will get a mentor. It'll be, a boss or a neighbor that may have done well. But many times the real mentor is somebody that you idolize, that you look up to. And again, because we don't know the how, people don't take a moment to reach out and say, this is who I am. How may I be of service to you? May I ask for some support from you? What I have found, which is really quite interesting, let's say we have the masses. The masses are here. And then you have, a percentage of society that has gotten sort of to a little bit higher a plane. So the people here at this little bit higher a plane, in my opinion, I'll come back to them in a moment. And so there's the sort of senior managers and, CEOs, people that have done okay. And then there's the real success stories. These are people that have really knocked it out of the park. Every time I have tried to reach out to people at sort of that middle level, I'll get a 50-50, yes, I'll help you, no, slam the door in your face. And what I find at that middle level is there's a lot of people still playing from a place of ego.
Right.
They've worked hard, but they want you to know it, and they don't want to share it because they're still in that scarcity mindset. The people that have gone really above and beyond, they are so happy to help you. Because they know the level of freedom, mental freedom, financial freedom, life pleasure that you can get. Right. And they don't have any problems reaching down and helping you out. Really interesting example. We saw this with our book, quite honestly. We reached out to some of the people that we admire very much that have been instrumental in our progression in the space of personal development. Danielle and I and yourself have spent a lot of time in that space. And we had some people say, thank you, but no, I don't really know you. And then that's fair. We had some people who didn't hesitate to help out and lend a helping hand. So we are so happy and thrilled to say that as endorsers on our book, and not just for the book, but on the cover of our book, we have Bob Proctor, who is probably the father of personal development right now, was featured in the movie The Secret. Right. We also were so pleased to get the endorsement of Joe Vitale, also get the endorsement of Michael Bernard Beckwith. And these are huge players in the personal development space because they read through our content and they realized that this is not content that should be kept by the few. This is content that needs to be spread to the masses. Right. Some of the people we reached out to ask for endorsements had that scarcity, well, no, because that's my content and I don't want to share my success with you. And it was a real eye-opener. It was interesting to see.
Yeah, that's a fascinating point, and I was really impressed when I saw who had endorsed the book. I thought that was fantastic. But it is interesting, and I do agree with you that most successful people want to help other people. I mean, that is not a rare thing. It's a little bit of a surprise, but it's not rare. And the thing that you did was you got out of your own comfort zone, I would imagine, and asked, because nobody knows you need the help or want the help until you ask them.
And the thing that Danielle and I say sometimes too is the worst they can say is no.
Exactly.
So you're going to either be where you are anyway, or you're really increasing your chances to get what you want. But you do need to ask. So don't shy away from that. Yeah. Because you're not going to be any better or worse off if they say no. Who cares? Next.
That's a huge growth point, I think, to get to that point where you can put yourself out there, accept no if it comes, but, a lot of times you will be surprised at the yeses that you get and the people you meet and the new contacts that you have, and so it's really wonderful. Danielle, anything you'd like to add before we wrap up here? We're almost out of time.
Okay. Be yourself, even though it's hard at sometimes, because for me today, I love being myself, but I know that when you are in the beginnings, you still feel uncomfortable, and feel comfortable with the uncomfortable, because it means that you are wanting something more for your life, you are growing. So be better, and look for it, look for the ways that you will make it to happen in your life, and you will be amazed. You will never stop looking for greatness.
Right.
No.
Can you and Katerina both tell us how people can contact you, get in touch with you, find your book?
Absolutely. So number one, big recommendation, get the book. It's a great book. It's a light book, and it makes for a really fabulous summer read. We have written this book in language that is great for anyone that may be new-ish to the personal development world. So this is a great book, not only for yourself, but also for teenagers. Really a lot of excellent tips in here. So if you have a teenager with a birthday coming up, or as part of their graduation gift, highly recommended. I know it's my own book.
Great,
it's our own book,
idea.
but but we're plugging it a little bit. Of course, best place to go is Amazon.com, right? Mr. Bezos and his world domination. So Amazon.com, Rising Up from Mental Slavery. And to be able to work with both Danielle and I in different capacities. Danielle does transformational coaching and mentorship. I work a little more specifically with a media mindset and work with people that want to increase their confidence, communication, and eventually do some work on TV. You can reach out to both of us via our personal websites. So mine, we both make it simple. We use our names. Mine is KaterinaCozias.com. And that's the name on the book as well. And for Danielle is at Danielle Martins Official. And I think we're going to flash that up on the screen as well. Yeah, I know we would both love to work with you. And we both work with people globally. So don't feel that you can't reach out to either one of us. That's what time zones are for, right?
Fantastic. Thank you.
And technology.
Technology.
Yeah, technology is it has made it amazing to be able to work with people all over the world. So that's fantastic. Please do order the book. I love the idea as a graduation present. I think I'm going to buy one for my son. And you can reach me at limitfreelife.com. And we are here every Wednesday at 1 o'clock at ubnradio.com. And it was an absolute pleasure to have both of you on. Thank you so much. And I am so excited to share this with the audience. And it was my pleasure to have you here. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
In the future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.